Hi everybody, this is Doreen, or Do 4x4, and I'm back today once again with something a little different. It's not a card, it's not a mini album, and I didn't use my gypsy or my Cricut. As I said before a while back, I also, besides card making and mini album making, I make my own jewelry, and I've been making my own jewelry for, I would say, the past 20 years or so. And I hadn't been doing it for a while because I had got into really making cards and tags and mini albums. But I was sitting watching television one night and I saw this lady with this ring on, and I really wanted the ring, but it was a movie I was watching and I had no idea how to get the ring or figure out where she got the ring. So I just kept rewinding it back, and I said, I'm going to figure out how to make this ring. So what I did was, I knew that I could make the flowers using my scallop punch, and I could use my Stampin' Up! Scallop punch, and they end up coming out like this. So I thought, why not take that same idea and make the ring? So that's what I did, but instead of using the scallop punch, I found that it was kind of big and I didn't want the ring that big. I used my 1.5 inch paper shapers punch, which looks like this, and I'm sorry for the glare, and make my ring. So that's what I did, and this is what it ended up coming out like. It's that size, and I got some ring blanks, and then I just glued the ring blank on the back of the flower. Now, of course, this is paper, so what I ended up doing was I used some, I believe it's called Thick and Quick. I'm sorry, it's called Triple Thick. And I took a brush and painted the ring, or the flower. And what that does is it hardens it and makes it thick, so it doesn't feel like paper anymore. So I thought, okay, now I've got the ring that I wanted, so I'm going to go ahead and make some more rings. So I went ahead and, like I said, and I made this one. And then I decided I wanted a color combination, so I took some of my scraps of paper that I had, and I made a black and cream color one. And I followed the same process. I used the circle punch, or a scallop punch, and I'm sorry, I used the 1.5 inch, not the Stampin' Up! One. And I cut out 8 of the scallops, and then I just went ahead and wet them with my little mister, and then I put them all together and put a brad in the middle, and then I just started forming the shape of a flower. Now I will go over how I did that after I show all the rings that I've made. So that's one of the other ones. And then I did, of course, a purple one. So now, then after I did the paper rings, I started thinking, I have all these ring blanks. What else can I do? So I have quite a few buttons, a big bucket of buttons. So I decided I'm going to make some button rings. So I made this one. And what I basically did was just stack the rings on top of each other. And the crystal that I have in the middle, I took some wire and ran that through the holes in the buttons. And then ran it back down through And I just kept going up and down until I felt it was in there tight enough, and then I twisted on the back and clipped it off. So it looks like this. Now this one, this pink and black, this was already together when I bought the buttons. So it was already a set, so all I did was just take it and glue it on to the ring blank. And here's another one that I made that is, of course, purple. And I did the same thing again. I took some crystals and ran them through the holes in the button and tightened it up on the back, and then I added the ring blank. And the glue that I found, I tried several different types of glue to glue these buttons down, as well as the paper, because like I said before, this becomes very hard. And then because you have the brad on the back as well, you have to find a glue that it's going to really adhere to the ring blank. So the glue that I ended up using was this jewelry and metal glue. And this is by Aleene's. Now, I don't know if Joanne still carries this. I picked this up several years ago. It's got to be at least 5 or 6 years ago. And I still had some, because you only need a little bit, and this lasts a very long time. But I would suggest looking for a glue that can handle metal. Now, I did try using the bead fix, but that just didn't hold it. I used it on this one, and I wore the ring to work, and it actually popped off. So that's when I remembered I had the jewelry and metal glue, and I used that, and I had that on. I put that on for the white ring, and I've worn this 2 or 3 times and it hasn't come off yet. So this doesn't work that well for this technique. So now here's another button ring I did, and with this one I have actually the larger button. I have 3 buttons and some bling. And then with this one, I have just the 2 buttons and some bling in the middle. And then what I did was, I saw these flowers in the dollar bin at Michael's. So I took all of them and made some rings with them. And for each one, they don't have anything in the center. So what I did was I took some bling and glued some bling in the center of each ring. So that's it. That's what I've been working on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I made the paper rings. So let me get my supplies together and I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, so I've gone ahead and punched out my 8 scallop circles using the 1.5 inch scallop punch. The next thing I'm going to do, and this cardstock is just some scrap cardstock that I had left over from my Christmas cards. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wet each one using this little mini mister that I have. And you don't want to soak them, but you want to get them wet enough that you can take the paper and make it pliable. So I kind of just flip it over and go ahead and wet the other side as well. And then what you want to do, this is the fun part, you just want to take it and crumble it up, each petal. And I've punched out 8 of them if I didn't say that before. So I'm going to go ahead and crunch these up. And remember, it is paper, so you do want to be careful as you're doing this. Don't get too enthusiastic and really crunch it up, because then you don't want to mess up your flower. And then once you've done that, you want to go ahead, and sometimes I take, if I don't feel it got wet enough and pliable enough, I take it and just circle around in the water. But then you want to go ahead and open them up like so, and then you're just going to stack them one on top of the other like so. So now I have all 8 of them. And then what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and get the water up, because now we want the area to be dry. And then I'm going to take my crocodile, but before I do that, I want to just try to get and mark my center. So I'm going to fold these over, and you don't have to be exact with this. And I'm using the larger hole, and I'm just going to take and punch with my crocodile in the center and make a hole. And then I need to get all that paper out of there. So we're done using the crocodile. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a brad in the center. And it doesn't matter, because you're not going to see the brad, so you can get any color you want, unless you want the brad to be seen. Then, you know, you pick what color you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put my brad in the center, and then make sure I get my prongs all the way spread out like so. Now the next thing is you just start taking each layer and folding it in like so. And here, let me zoom in so you can see that. So what I'm doing is just I'm picking up each layer and scrunching it toward the center. And then I pick up the next layer and do the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing that, and then I'll be back. Okay everybody, so now I'm back and I've done all of my scrunching for all 8 layers. And then I just kind of just keep maneuvering it around and maneuvering it around until I got it the way I wanted, and I like the way it looks. And if you want, you can spread it out a little bit, and you just keep playing with it till you get it the way you want. Like so. And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to let this dry, because then you want it to dry and form in the shape that you want. So I like that, so I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add the triple thick to harden it. And then we'll add our ring blank. So I have my triple thick, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. All ready to go. And we're going to just go ahead and open it up. And this is by Deco Art, and I picked this up at Michael's. You could probably also use some glossy accents. I haven't tried using that yet. I think the next set of rings I make, I might try that, because this is basically a brush-on gloss glaze, which is similar exactly to what glossy accents is. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush and dip my paintbrush in the triple thick, and then just start adding it to the ring, to the flower. It's not a ring just yet. I haven't put the ring blank on it. But you don't have to use this for a ring. You can also use this if you wanted to on your mini album. You could make the flowers without, just with the paper. But if you wanted it to be hard, so that the paper didn't rip, you could just go ahead and do the same procedure and just not make it a ring, which is probably what I'll do with some of my scraps of paper that I have. And then I'll have those to add onto a card or even onto a mini album. So I just basically go and put some all the way around, and I probably should have put gloves on for this, but you're not a crafter unless you get your hands messy. Unless you're one of those people that doesn't like to get your hands messy, then I would say put on a pair of gloves. So now what I do is I let that dry overnight. I don't use the heat gun for this. So once this is dry, I'll come back and then we'll add the ring blank. Okay everybody, so now I'm back and my flour has dried. As you can see, it's hard. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add my ring blank, which looks like this. Now these ring blanks I picked up on eBay, and I picked them up from a seller by the name of Serendipity Sales, and they come in different colors. So I've got the what they call the black, and it looks like that. I'm sorry for the glare. And then it also comes in copper, gold, and then brass. And to me, the brass and the copper, they kind of look the same. If you put them side by side, they look the same to me. And then, of course, the silver. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my jewelry metal glue, and I'm going to get some of the glue and spread it on the top of the ring blank, like so. And you want to make sure you get quite a bit on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my flour flat and then just hold down the ring blank. And I just hold it for a second just for it to adhere. And I press down on it. And then I just leave it there. And I let it sit for at least 24 hours before I wear them. Now, I haven't gotten this wet before, so what I kind of do is, when I know I'm going to get my hands wet, I take the ring off. So that's how you make the ribbon flower rings. I also went ahead and I also made some more button rings. I was waiting till I got the ring blanks because I wanted to use the brass and copper with these rings. But this is also some buttons, and what I did was I took 2 buttons and glued them together, and then I ran some beads through the center holes of the buttons and wrapped with wire and kind of wrapped it around, and I went in and out and in and out. And then on the back, so that it wouldn't be so bumpy from the wire, I kind of took my Tim Holtz sander and ran it along the back just so I could even it out and make it flat. So I've made this one, and then I've made this one using the same technique. So that's what I've been working on, is my button flower rings. And I have quite a few that I will probably, some I will wear and some I will give away to my girlfriend because she likes the button rings and she's been purchasing them. And I happened to have one on one day, and she said, could you make me one? So I told her I would. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.